It was just another day in Whisper Creek, our small, forgotten town nestled deep in the American South, until the news shattered everything. A newborn, just days old, was gone. The Millers, the baby's family, called the sheriff. What the deputies found in the old village, well, it still haunts me. Tiny bones. But the rest of the baby? The flesh. It was nowhere to be found. My grandma whispered, her voice filled with sorrow. That poor child. But Grandpa Jedediah Stone, as we called him, just took a swig of his liquor, his face sour. Poor? What's poor about it? A kid dies, you make another. What's the big deal? Why bother the sheriff? He speared a piece of fatty meat, dipped it in minced garlic, and shoved it into his mouth. Caleb Miller, a young drifter who often drank with Grandpa, suddenly blurted out, "Man, I'm just craving some fresh young lamb, you know? Why aren't there any newborn lambs in this village? I'm dying for it." I swallowed without thinking, my eyes glued to the platter of braised meat with pickled greens. It sat right in front of Grandpa Jed. He ate it all, devouring every last bit. Grandma and I, we were only allowed the pickles. He never let us touch the meat, Grandma murmured. So low, I almost didn't hear her. That's a human being. Flesh and blood of parents, not livestock. She never dared to cross him. They'd been married for decades, and he always had the final say. When he was younger, he'd often hit her. Now, in his old age, he didn't raise a hand, but his words still crushed her spirit. Grandpa Jed just scoffed, took another swig, and continued his feast. When he was full, he leaned back on the dirt bed. I saw a piece of meat left on the platter and quietly spooned it into my own bowl. I was just about to eat when Grandpa Jed suddenly sat bolt upright, snatched my bowl, and dumped the meat onto the ground for our dog Shadow. Even the dog can have it, but you? No way. Shadow, our small black dog, quickly grabbed the meat and ran off. I clenched my fists, wanting to fight back, but I just couldn't. Grandma tried to intervene. "Come on, Ethan, eat your rice." But Grandpa just bellowed. "Eat what? Get out." Just looking at him makes me sick. I put down my chopsticks and ran outside. Grandma was Grandpa Jed's second wife, and my father wasn't his biological son. Only my youngest uncle was. I squatted by the wall, wiping my tears. Shadow, who had just eaten the meat, came close, wagging his tail. I reached out and stroked his head. "Shadow," I whispered, "I want to go to the city and find my mom." Just as I finished speaking, I saw the town elder, Mr. O'Malley, leading 2 sheriff's deputies into our yard. Grandma came out of the house, smiling weakly. "Elder O'Malley, officers, what brings you here?" The town elder spoke gravely. "Young Billy Miller's child went missing on the 8th of June. Jed Stone was at the Miller's house that day. The sheriff's deputies are here to question him." "Jed, come on out." Grandpa Jed staggered out of the house, reeking of alcohol. He chuckled. "Officers, what do you want to ask?" He waved a dismissive hand. "I just went to the Millers to borrow a shovel and then came straight back. Didn't even take 20 minutes. Grandma quickly brought out chairs, inviting the officers to sit. The young deputy, who looked fresh out of college, said, "Thank you, ma'am." Sitting next to him was an older officer in his early 40s, a county sheriff named Deputy Lewis Vance. Deputy Vance addressed Grandpa. "Mr. Stone, when you went to the Millers for the shovel, did you see the child?" "No, I didn't," Grandpa replied. "I just stood in the yard, didn't go inside." Deputy Vance's eyes narrowed. "I'm not asking if you went inside. I'm asking if your eyes saw the child." Grandpa Jed scowled, his face contorting with annoyance. "I didn't go inside, so of course I didn't see him. Are you trying to cause trouble?" I knew Deputy Vance was from our village. His father had been murdered years ago, but the killer was never found. Back then, Grandpa Jed was the primary suspect, but without evidence, he was released. Grandma quickly stepped in, telling Grandpa Jed to calm down and speak properly. The town elder tried to reason with him. "Jed, you need to cooperate with the investigation." Grandpa Jed snapped. "Cooperate with what?" I told him clearly, but he keeps asking. I think he's deliberately trying to find an excuse. With that, he stormed back inside and slammed the door shut. Grandma apologized to the officers. "Please understand, officers. He's just got a difficult temperament. The town elder knocked on the door. "Jed, open the door! The deputies aren't finished with their questions. If you don't open, they'll take you down to the station. You have to cooperate." Deputy Vance put a hand on the town elder's shoulder. "Elder, don't bother knocking. I've asked enough. Let's go check some other houses." He said other houses, but I saw his eyes never leave our yard, as if searching for something. The town elder glanced at him, then said, "All right, I'll take you to the other houses," Grandma said. "I'll see you off." Deputy Vance smiled faintly. "No need, ma'am." He was only cold towards Grandpa Jed. With others, he was polite. Grandma still smiled. "I'll just walk with you a bit." As they reached the gate, Deputy Vance said, "Please go back inside, ma'am." Just as he finished speaking, Shadow, our little black dog, suddenly vomited. The undigested meat landed right on my foot. Shadow lowered his head, intending to eat it again. I quickly stopped him. "Don't eat that. It's dirty." I heard Deputy Vance's voice from a distance. "Ma'am, does your dog eat meat at your house?" Grandma chuckled nervously. "Oh, the meat just fell on the ground, so I let him eat it." Deputy Vance had just stepped out of the yard when he turned back. He walked straight to me, knelt down, and picked up the piece of meat. Grandma asked, "Officer Vance, what's wrong?" He took out a clear plastic bag from his pocket, put the meat inside, and simply said, "Just standard procedure." As soon as he finished speaking, Grandpa Jed stormed out of the house, kicked Shadow hard, and yelled, "You filthy beast!" Shadow yelped and hid behind me. Grandpa Jed picked up the shovel, enraged, and prepared to kill him. The town elder wrestled the shovel from him. "Jed, what are you doing?" Grandpa Jed scoffed, glaring at Deputy Vance. "I'm killing my own dog. Is that against the law? You finished your investigation, now get out of here." The town elder's voice rose. "Jed, what's with your attitude?" Grandpa Jed pointed at Deputy Vance. "What's his attitude? My dog threw up pork, not human meat, and he still takes it for testing? What's his game? I think he's trying to frame me." The town elder threw the shovel to the ground. "Jed, don't be stubborn. Deputy Vance is just doing his job. You went to the Millers on the 8th of June, so of course you're a suspect. It's not just you. Carl Miller and Caleb Miller are also being investigated. They all visited Billy Miller's house on the 8th of June. Grandpa Jed's face was grim. He didn't say a word. The town elder chuckled. "Officer Vance, don't be angry. I'll take you to see the other houses." Deputy Vance nodded. "All right." They left the yard. Grandpa Jed remained standing, muttering, "What can pork prove?" That evening, Caleb Miller unexpectedly came to our house. When he walked in, our family was having dinner. Grandma welcomed him. "Caleb, you're here. Let me get you a bowl and chopsticks. Eat with us." Caleb chuckled. "I actually haven't eaten yet, so I won't be a stranger." He sat down, his face cheerful. I didn't like Caleb Miller. He was a lazy good-for-nothing. His family dirt poor. He often drank with Grandpa Jed, and when he got drunk, he'd babble nonsense, bragging about once eating lamb as if it was the greatest achievement of his 30-something years. He was still unmarried. A few months ago, he'd even been arrested for soliciting. Grandpa Jed announced, "Get the liquor out here. Me and him are gonna have a few drinks." Grandma brought out a new bowl, chopsticks, and a bottle of liquor. Grandpa Jed filled his own glass, then handed the bottle to Caleb Miller to pour for himself. Caleb shook his head. "Uncle Jed, I can't drink today. I have something to say." Grandpa Jed burst into laughter. "You? Something serious to say? You only come to my house to beg for food and booze." He turned to me. "Ethan, pour Uncle Caleb a glass." I picked up the liquor bottle and poured for him. He didn't refuse. Caleb then asked, "Uncle Jed, did Deputy Vance come to your house today?" Grandpa said, "Yes, he did." Caleb's face tightened. "He came to my house too." Grandpa Jed scoffed. "No worries. They won't find anything." Caleb froze for a few seconds, then turned to look at Grandma and me. Grandma lowered her head, eating her rice and picking vegetables, as if she hadn't heard anything. Grandpa Jed leaned in. "That kid wasn't taken by us, was it? What are you scared of?" "I think the most suspicious one is Carl Miller. Just last month, he came to borrow money from the Millers, got refused, and was even cursed at badly. Just as Caleb finished speaking, a furious shout from Carl Miller rang out from outside the window. "What did you say, you mother of cur?" Caleb jumped, his chopsticks clattering to the ground. Carl Miller stormed into the house, threw his cap onto the dirt bed, and lunged straight at Caleb. Though over 40, Carl was tall and muscular. He grabbed Caleb by the collar and yanked him up. "What did you just say?" Caleb was stunned, unable to say a word, just staring blankly at Carl. Grandpa Jed intervened. "All right, that's enough. Let him go. He just misspoke." "You can't use that as evidence to convict you. What are you so afraid of?" Carl Miller scoffed, let go, and roared. "No one is allowed to frame me." Grandpa Jed suddenly slapped the table. "This bed is freezing cold. Are you still going to sit here and eat?" He said this to Grandma. She immediately stood up. "I'll go chop some firewood in the yard. You all just keep drinking. Call me if you need anything." She pulled me outside and closed the door. "Ethan, don't play inside. Just stay in the yard. Listen to Grandma." After saying that, she went to work. I sat in the corner of the yard playing with Shadow. Late that night, Carl Miller and Caleb Miller finally left our house. Caleb was completely drunk, barely able to stand, so Carl had to support him. Grandpa Jed warned them. "Walk carefully now," Caleb slurred. "Don't worry, Uncle. I'm not drunk." Then he burst into laughter. "I'm just craving some fresh young lamb. Why aren't there any newborn lambs in this village? I'm dying for it." Even in the dark, I could see Grandpa Jed's face instantly darken. He snarled, "Talking nonsense again. Get him home now." Carl clapped a hand over Caleb's mouth and scolded him. "Sober up, you drunkard." Caleb, afraid of Carl, opened his eyes wide and nodded repeatedly. Carl half dragged him away, stumbling. Only the three of us remained in the house. Grandpa Jed sat on the dirt bed, smoking his pipe, humming a few tunes. He seemed to be in a very good mood. That was a good drink. With that, he lay down and fell asleep. The next morning, the entire village was shaken. Caleb Miller was dead. He was found in the village well. The whole village flocked to see. His bloated body was pulled out, reeking of decay. Beside Deputy Vance were a few more sheriff's deputies, probably including a coroner. The officers asked the villagers to disperse and go home. Grandma, her face etched with worry, murmured, "How could he have drowned? He was perfectly healthy." Grandpa Jed chuckled dismissively. "The King of Hell calls at 3. No one lives till 5. His time was up. The King of Hell claimed him. Grandma didn't go to school, but I did. I didn't believe a word Grandpa said. It was all nonsense." As soon as he finished speaking, I saw Deputy Vance leading Officer Dunn into our yard. Grandma was about to get off the dirt bed, but Grandpa Jed stopped her. "Stay put, old woman." Grandma obeyed and remained seated. Deputy Vance and Officer Dunn entered. Grandma asked, "Officers, what's the matter?" Deputy Vance asked, "Ma'am, what time did Caleb Miller leave your house yesterday?" Grandma replied, "Around 2 a.m. He was drunk, and Carl Miller took him home." Grandpa Jed immediately cut in. "He came to my house to eat and drink willingly. His death has nothing to do with me. If you want to investigate Carl Miller. Yesterday, those two were even arguing." Deputy Vance pressed on. "What were they arguing about?" "About the child," Grandpa Jed said. "Carl Miller had come to borrow money from the Millers last month, got cursed at, and then 3 days later, Billy Miller's child disappeared. On the 8th of June, Carl Miller also went to their house. Caleb Miller suspected Carl Miller killed the baby. Yesterday, he blurted it out when he was drunk. Coincidentally, Carl Miller was also there and heard it. If I hadn't intervened, those two would have fought." Deputy Vance looked at Grandma. She nodded. "Yes, that's right. They almost got into a fight." Deputy Vance asked again, "After you intervened, did they continue arguing?" Grandpa Jed shook his head. "After I intervened, the three of us drank in silence, no more arguing." Deputy Vance was silent for a few seconds. His expression clearly showed he didn't believe Grandpa Jed. He looked at me and asked, "Little boy, is what your grandpa said true?" Grandpa Jed quickly jumped in. "Of course it's true. The three of us were drinking, and he and his grandma were in the yard." But Deputy Vance ignored Grandpa. He squatted in front of me and asked again gently, "Is that true?" I shook my head. My grandpa is lying. As soon as I spoke, Grandpa Jed leaped off the dirt bed and raised his hand to hit me. Luckily, Deputy Vance blocked him. "What are you doing, sir?" I hid behind Deputy Vance, looking at Grandpa Jed. His face was purple with rage. He roared, "Ethan, you dare to speak nonsense? I'll skin you alive," Grandma cried out. "Ethan, you mustn't speak nonsense." "I'm not talking nonsense. I'm telling the truth," I insisted. "Last night, while I was playing near the wall, I heard the three of them arguing again. More accurately, Grandpa Jed was arguing with Carl Miller and Caleb Miller. Deputy Vance signaled to Officer Dunn. He stood in front of me, implying Grandpa Jed should be quiet. Grandpa Jed muttered, "Officer, he's just a 7 or 8-year-old kid. He doesn't understand anything. Don't believe him." Deputy Vance said nothing. He led me out to the yard. He squatted down beside me and gently asked, "Little boy, what did you hear and see? Don't be afraid. Just tell the truth to Uncle." I glanced inside the house. Grandpa Jed was clinging to the window, staring at me, his eyes red as if he wanted to devour me alive. Deputy Vance turned around to look, then said, "Let's go talk outside the yard." He led me out of the yard. Now, I couldn't see Grandpa Jed anymore. "Last night, the three of them argued again," I told him. "I was sitting by the wall and heard it." Deputy Vance asked, "Why were they arguing?" "Because of my youngest uncle," I said. Deputy Vance looked confused. I continued, "My youngest uncle, Frankie Stone, is 31 this year. He's been married to Aunt Lisa for 5 years, but they haven't had a child. Caleb Miller had said, 'Grandpa Jed, you should cook some lamb for Uncle Frankie to nourish him. Maybe then he'll have a baby.' Carl Miller also chimed in, 'Your Uncle Frankie has some kind of illness.' Grandpa Jed got angry and argued with them. Deputy Vance's eyebrows furrowed. "Lamb?" I nodded. "Our family has never bought lamb. I don't know where they got young lamb to eat." Deputy Vance stroked my head. "Thank you, kid." He stood up and went back into the yard. A few minutes later, I saw Grandpa Jed being led away by the officers. As he passed me, Grandpa Jed shouted, "You wait till I get back! I'll kill you!" Officer Dunn urged him. "Move it." Grandpa Jed was taken away. Only Grandma and I remained in the house. Grandma pulled me close, her face full of worry. "Why did you speak nonsense?" "I'm not talking nonsense. I'm telling the truth," I insisted. Grandma sighed. "When Jed gets back, he won't spare you. But can he even come back?" I asked. Grandma was silent for a moment, then nodded. "The dead person wasn't killed by him." I gripped her hand. Grandma, do you know something? Are you talking about Caleb Miller or the baby?" She shook her head. "He didn't kill them." "No way," I exclaimed. Grandma closed her eyes and sighed. "The baby was taken out by old Mrs. Miller, Billy Miller's mother. I accidentally saw it. I never thought she would kill her own grandchild." Grandma slowly stood up. "The sheriff's deputies aren't stupid. Old Mrs. Miller will definitely be arrested. Deputy Vance only took your grandpa to question him about Caleb Miller. He'll be released soon." I clenched my fists. "I can't let him come back. I have to go find Deputy Vance." Grandma grabbed my wrists, stopping me. Her eyes were very complex. "Don't go, child. He didn't kill anyone. What can you do?" "Grandma," I said, "when Jed cooked the meat, I saw it. I have to tell Deputy Vance." Grandma's eyebrows furrowed. "What did you see?" I was about to speak when I heard hurried footsteps. It was our neighbor, Aunt Sally. Aunt Sally ran into the house, breathless. "Ma'am, they solved the case," Grandma asked. "Solved what case?" "Billy Miller's little daughter was killed by his mother, that wicked old woman," Aunt Sally gasped. "She dared to harm her own grandchild, and she's been arrested." Grandma was stunned for a few seconds, then said, "What a sin." Aunt Sally nodded. Old Mrs. Miller wanted a grandson and forced her daughter-in-law to have more children. The daughter-in-law refused, so she threw the granddaughter to the ground and killed her. Grandma sighed. Poor child. Aunt Sally sat down on the dirt bed, took out some sunflower seeds from her pocket, and continued. "Billy Miller's house is like a marketplace now. His wife's family also came, and they're fighting fiercely. Grandma frowned, saying nothing. Aunt Sally continued, raising her voice. Old Mrs. Miller is truly evil. Killing the child wasn't enough. She even dismembered the body and separated the bones. Doesn't she fear the child's ghost coming back for revenge? Grandma shook her head. She might kill her grandchild, but she wouldn't dare dismember a body. Aunt Sally's mouth hung open, her face astonished. You mean that wasn't done by old Mrs. Miller? I nodded. Exactly. If you wanted to dispose of a body, you'd just dig a hole and bury it. Why go through all that? Aunt Sally slapped her thigh. You're right. Old Mrs. Miller might be mean, but she's a coward. She wouldn't even dare kill a chicken. So who on earth did this? I guessed it was Billy Miller's enemy. Probably Carl Miller. Grandma didn't respond. Aunt Sally spoke even louder. Don't you believe it? Now everyone in the village is saying it. Carl Miller is the biggest suspect. Even Caleb Miller's death is highly suspicious. Aunt Sally chatted with Grandma for a while longer, then left around noon. After Aunt Sally left, Grandma said to me, Ethan, you're still young. Don't interfere in adult matters. Everything will come to light eventually. After saying that, Grandma began packing clothes. She also took out the metal box with money from the house. Grandma, what are you doing? I asked. Packing, Grandma replied. I'm taking you to the city to find your parents. We can't stay in this village anymore. I understood what Grandma meant, so I began helping her pack our luggage. That evening, Grandma hired a car. We loaded our luggage and went to the county town. From there, we bought train tickets to another province. When we got off the train, Grandma borrowed a phone at a supermarket and called my father, John. John, Ethan and I are off the train. Send us your address. I'm bringing him to your place. Something happened. I'll explain when we get there. Grandma led me asking for directions for more than 10 miles. Finally, we found my parents' place. An old, small, single-story house. But my parents hadn't finished work yet. Grandma and I waited outside. I was hungry, so Grandma took out some biscuits from her bag for me to eat. We waited a long time before my parents came home. Both of them were covered in dust, their hair also dusty. For the past 2 years, construction was booming everywhere, and there was a shortage of workers. My father worked carrying cement, and my mother tied rebar at construction sites. I was so happy to see my parents again. But before I could open my mouth, my father, John, said tiredly, Mom, why did you suddenly bring Ethan here? This house is only 12 square meters. It's not even big enough for us. My mother, Sarah, placed a hand on my shoulder, looked at Grandma and asked, Mom, what happened at home? Grandma replied, Jed was arrested. What? My father was stunned. He opened the door, went into the house, and told Grandma to explain. Grandma glanced at me, as if wanting to avoid me. Grandma, I said, I know everything. Grandpa Jed deserved it. What exactly happened? My father demanded. Grandma recounted the whole story to my parents. They were furious. My mother exclaimed, That old beast! They should lock him up for life. A few days later, news from the village arrived, saying Grandma needed to return home because Grandpa Jed was arrested. My father went with Grandma back to the village. When they returned, Grandma clearly looked much older. I overheard their conversation. Caleb Miller was pushed into the well by Carl Miller and drowned. Grandpa Jed, Caleb Miller, and Carl Miller had all eaten lamb. Grandpa Jed was sentenced to 2.5 years in prison. The villagers hated all 3 of them to the bone. Because of Grandpa Jed's reputation, we couldn't stay in the village anymore. Grandma and I could only stay in the city and rent a house. A year later, the 12 square meter house my parents bought was compensated and demolished by the developer. With that money, they bought a 2-bedroom apartment further out in the suburbs. So, in the city, we finally had a home. Another 1.5 years later, Grandpa Jed was released from prison. After his release, he started looking for Grandma, telling her to come back to the village to take care of him. My Uncle Frankie told me, Dad's sick. He's so thin, looks like he's about to die. He also has lung disease. Grandma didn't tell anyone. She bought a train ticket and went back to the village alone. When she arrived home, she called my parents. My father told her to come back to the city. Grandma replied, If I don't go back, He'll come and cause trouble at your uncle's house. Your sister-in-law is pregnant and about to give birth. I can't let him cause trouble. Besides, he's sick. I'll stay with him for a few years. Don't worry about me." My father said, "Then I'll buy you a phone so we can keep in touch." My father bought her a basic phone and called her frequently to check in. 2 months later, my aunt, Lisa, gave birth to a son named Henry. My parents took me to my uncle's house. Grandpa Jed and Grandma were also there. Grandma's hair was completely white, but her face was full of smiles, looking very kind. Grandpa Jed's face was sallow, skeletal, and there were dark patches on his face, looking like a living corpse. From the moment we walked in, he kept coughing. I could feel how much my Aunt Lisa hated Grandpa Jed, but she didn't say anything outwardly. We went into the main room to see Henry. Grandpa also followed, grinning with his yellow teeth. "I told you," Grandpa Jed crowed. "Lamb cures all ailments." My Uncle Frankie frowned. "Dad, you're talking nonsense again." "Don't talk nonsense." "I'm not talking nonsense, I'm perfectly sober," Grandpa Jed insisted. "This big house, you two can't even fill it up. Later, your mom and I will live here too, and we'll look after the grandchild for you two." My Aunt Lisa's face tightened as she forced a smile. "Mom and Dad, you're old now. We can take care of the child ourselves." Grandpa Jed said nothing more. He called my uncle outside. I don't know what they talked about. My mother gave my aunt a red envelope and sat talking about family matters. After seeing Henry, my father went to the living room. I followed him. My uncle's house was a 2-bedroom, 1-living-room apartment. With so many people, it wasn't enough space. That night, my parents took me to a hotel to sleep. The next morning, my parents woke up early and took me to the market to buy pig's trotters, then went back to my uncle's house. My father knocked for a long time before my uncle opened the door. "Brother and sister, you're up early," my uncle greeted them. "And you bought so much stuff. We still have food at home." My mother smiled. "Sister-in-law, cook Lisa a bowl of pig's trotters, soup to drink." My uncle chuckled. "Then I'll trouble you, sister-in-law." As soon as my uncle finished speaking, we heard Aunt Lisa's piercing scream from inside. "Henry! Where's Henry? Who took Henry?" Aunt Lisa rushed out of the master bedroom, her face panicked. "Henry slept next to me last night. How could he just disappear? Who took him?" "Last night, my uncle slept on the sofa. Grandpa Jed and Grandma slept in the spare room. Aunt Lisa and Henry slept in the master bedroom." My uncle said, "Don't panic, honey. Let me go check." He rushed into the master bedroom. My parents followed. Indeed, Henry was nowhere to be found. Grandpa Jed and Grandma had also woken up. Grandma asked, "What's happening?" Aunt Lisa slumped to the ground, wailing. "Henry, my baby is gone." Grandma almost fainted, but my father caught her. "Mom, don't panic. Call the police." Grandma, her eyes wide with fury, pointed at Grandpa Jed and yelled, "Was it you? Did you do this? Where did you hide Henry?" As soon as she finished speaking, she lunged and grabbed Grandpa Jed by the shoulders, shaking him violently. Grandpa Jed was weak, coughing violently, trying to break free but couldn't. He yelled loudly, "What are you talking about, woman? What does Henry's disappearance have to do with me? He's my biological grandson," Grandma roared. "I shouldn't have let you come here. You bring nothing but disaster." My uncle pulled Grandma away. "Mom, calm down. Dad couldn't do something like that. Let's call the police first." Aunt Lisa continued to cry hysterically, almost fainting several times. My mother told her, "Lisa, get up. The floor is cold, and you're still recovering from childbirth. You'll get sick." My parents helped Aunt Lisa onto the sofa. Grandpa Jed squatted in the corner, coughing incessantly. Grandma scolded him. "Get out! Get out! Now!" Grandpa Jed argued. "Get out of what? I didn't lose the grandchild." Just as he finished speaking, there was a knock at the door. A voice from outside said, "Hello, police." My father quickly opened the door. 2 people in police uniforms entered. The tall one was Officer Ryan, and the dark-skinned one was Officer Jones. Officer Jones asked, "What time was the baby reported missing?" Aunt Lisa, tears streaming down her face, said, 8 a.m. Last night I fed Henry at 11 p.m. He fell asleep right after, and I went to sleep too. Strangely, I didn't wake up once. Slept straight through until morning," my uncle added. "I went to sleep at 1 a.m. I usually wake up in the middle of the night, but last night, I slept straight through." Officer Jones looked at Grandpa Jed and Grandma. Grandma said, "I didn't wake up either." Grandpa Jed said, "Me neither." Grandma, glaring at Grandpa, spoke to the police. "Officer, I suspect Jed Stone. He has a criminal record." Grandpa Jed yelled, "It wasn't me. He's my biological grandson. Don't talk nonsense." Officer Jones sternly said, "All right, quiet down." Officer Jones continued to question my parents while Officer Ryan searched the house. He looked at the kitchen window. My uncle's house is on the 3rd floor. If someone climbed in from outside the window, it's possible. He entered the bathroom, then suddenly asked, "When was the bathroom window opened?" My uncle quickly ran over. "I opened it last night. When I used the bathroom, I forgot to close it." Aunt Lisa screamed. "Why didn't you close it? Someone must have taken Henry." My uncle's eyebrows furrowed. "If someone came in, there should have been a sound. How come no one woke up?" Officer Ryan said, "Come with me to check the surveillance cameras downstairs." My uncle nodded, put on a jacket, and followed him. Officer Jones continued to take notes of the questions, then said, "I have recorded everything. We will inform the family when there is any progress." Grandma said, "Thank you, officers." After the officers left, Grandma said, "I'll go look for Henry. I'll ask the neighbors if they saw any strangers." My father said, "Mom, stay home and look after Lisa. Let me and Sarah go out and look." Aunt Lisa, her eyes red, still in her sleepwear, moved to run out. "No, I'm gonna find Henry too." Grandma stopped her. "Lisa, listen to me. You're still recovering. It's easy to get sick outside." Aunt Lisa, crying, said, "If I don't find Henry, what's the point of living? Don't stop me." She pushed Grandma away and ran out in her slippers. My parents quickly chased after her. Grandma frowned. "Help Lisa back inside. Let go of me. I have to find Henry." Only Aunt Lisa's wails echoed in the hallway. After crying for a while, exhausted, my parents managed to help Aunt Lisa back home. My mother said, "Lisa, let your father and I go find Henry. You stay home. Maybe Henry will be found this afternoon. And if you get sick, you won't have milk, and Henry will be hungry." Aunt Lisa calmed down. "That's right. I can't get sick. Henry still needs breast milk." My mother sighed in relief. She and my father immediately went out to search. Only the 4 of us remained in the house. Grandma sat next to Aunt Lisa, comforting her, then turned to Grandpa Jed. "Why are you still sitting here? You should go out and look for Henry, too." Grandpa Jed coughed a few times. "I'm sick and can't stand the wind. Besides, this area is too big. If I go out, I won't know my way back." Grandma glared at him. "It'd be best if you never came back." Grandpa Jed scoffed, turned his face away, and remained silent. If it were before, Grandma wouldn't have dared to speak to him like that. But now Grandpa Jed was seriously ill and weak, dependent on her. Grandma looked at Aunt Lisa gently. "Lisa, let me cook for you. I'll stew some chicken soup." Aunt Lisa said, "Mom, I'm not hungry." "Don't bother," Grandpa Jed cut in. "You're not hungry, but we are." "Less talk," Grandma glared, stood up, and opened the refrigerator door. "Lisa, don't worry. Maybe Henry will be back this afternoon." Just as she finished speaking, Grandma screamed. "Ah!" Grandma's eyes widened, her mouth agape. Everyone in the house rushed over. To our horror, baby Henry was in the refrigerator. His body was frozen solid in blue. My Aunt Lisa immediately fainted. "Lisa!" Grandma quickly grabbed her phone and dialed 911. Then she told me, "Go find your uncle quickly." I nodded. "Yes." Grandma hugged Henry's frozen body, wailing heartbreakingly. "Henry, my grandchild." Just as I opened the door, I saw my uncle climbing the stairs. "Uncle, come inside, quickly!" My uncle rushed in. Seeing the scene inside, he froze, tears streaming down his face. My uncle slumped to the ground, sobbing. "Mom, what is happening? How could Henry die?" Grandma's eyes were red and swollen, sobbing uncontrollably. Grandpa Jed suddenly chuckled, walked closer to my uncle, and said, "Son, Henry's dead. Dad has one request for you. I want to eat young lamb. That dish cures all ailments. Save me, son. I don't want to die. My uncle's eyes widened. He roared, "What did you say, old man?" My uncle grabbed Grandpa Jed's shirt and slapped him hard. Grandma yelled, "You killed Henry! You beast!" Blood trickled from Grandpa Jed's mouth. He still argued, I didn't harm Henry. He's my biological grandson. Why don't you people believe me?" My uncle snapped, "Don't say another word. Call the police." My uncle immediately called the police. Grandpa Jed still insisted, "I really didn't kill him. He's my biological grandson. Why don't you people believe me?" My uncle gritted his teeth and clapped his hand over his mouth. A few minutes later, an ambulance and the police arrived. My Aunt Lisa was taken to the hospital. My uncle held Henry's body, wailing uncontrollably. "Save my child! Please, everyone, save my child!" Baby Henry's body was completely frozen. Nothing could be done to save him. My uncle was so shocked he vomited blood and was also taken to the hospital. Grandma walked, sobbing. "Oh God, why is my family so broken?" All of us went to the hospital. Both my uncle and aunt were admitted. Although they weren't seriously injured, their mental trauma was severe. My aunt's parents also came. They took their daughter home, saying that after she recovered, she would divorce my uncle. My uncle said nothing, implicitly agreeing. A few days later, the killer of Henry was arrested. His name was David Chen, a former co-worker who held a grudge against Grandpa Jed. He knew Grandpa Jed had moved to the city, so he secretly followed him and found my uncle's address. That night, he used sleeping gas to knock everyone in the house unconscious, then climbed through the bathroom window. He strangled Henry and stuffed the baby's body into the refrigerator. His actual goal was to kill Grandpa Jed, but the spare room door was locked, so he couldn't carry out his plan. As I was recounting this, the town elder led 2 sheriff's deputies into our house. Grandma hugged my uncle, crying and saying, "Son, don't go mad. You have to live well. Listen to your mother, okay?" My uncle said nothing, just quietly looked out the window. Grandma glared angrily at Grandpa Jed. "Get back to the village. Just seeing you makes me sick." Grandpa Jed sat on the sofa, coughing. "What does Henry's death have to do with me? Why are you taking your anger out on me? Frankie is my biological son. I have to stay and take care of him." Grandma ran into the kitchen, grabbed a meat cleaver, and stormed out. "Are you leaving? If you don't, I'll chop you to death." Her eyes were bloodshot, truly looking like she intended to chop Grandpa Jed. Grandpa Jed ran to the door. I'm going, okay?" After that, he went back to the village. Grandma stayed in the city to take care of my uncle. My parents also visited my uncle frequently. Half a year later, Grandpa Jed fell seriously ill, rumored to be dying. Our whole family went back to the village to see him one last time. His eyes were sunken, and his body emitted a foul odor, like a rotting corpse. After several months of treatment, my uncle's illness had recovered. He held Grandpa Jed's hand tightly, tears streaming down his face, calling him Dad. Grandpa Jed's mouth curled into a smile. I never got to eat lamb in my entire life. After saying that, he took his last breath. My uncle wailed, "Dad!" Because of Grandpa Jed's notorious reputation, no one attended his funeral except for a few family members and hired pallbearers who took him to be buried on the mountain. After Grandpa's death, my uncle never ate lamb again. He left the house to Grandma and became a monk at a temple. Every holiday, our family would go to the temple and quietly glance at my uncle. My uncle seemed to deliberately torture himself, wearing thin clothes in winter and thick clothes in summer. No one could convince him otherwise. He lived his own way, as if atoning. Thank you for listening to this story with Mr. Fong. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to the Beyond the Clue channel. Thank you, everyone.